Black women leading other black women astray. This is Queen with Soft Eye Boutique. I want to get on here and talk about something that I've noticed over well over a decade, right? People not gonna be safe in the so-called matriarchy either, because black women are and have been leading other black women astray, got them meandering everywhere, going all around the mulberry bush. Because what I've noticed, see, here's the thing about a lot of people's perception. I don't even want to say perception of me. I'm not invisible because I'm a real person, but I'm very observant, and I don't want to say that this is a bad character trait that I have, or just it's not a character trait, but I have a very strong memory. Just as an aside, I realized that I always thought my memory went back to 3 years old, but it actually goes back to 2 years old, when I can remember things very clearly. Sometimes I'll remember things that I don't want to remember. Even if I meet people in passing years ago, I will, it's like if they ever come into my reality again, I see them, okay? So over the course of the years, I don't even want to just say the black conscious community, because a lot of it is not really just the black conscious community, but there was a movement in my lifetime, of black women, usually in stage boomers, and definitely Gen Xers, a little bit of millennials. You have some first wave millennials mixed in there, who were leading black women away or to religion, right? They were doing these femininity teachings. A lot of them led a lot of black women to witchcraft, new age, astrology, just a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. So now what I'm seeing now is a lot of those same women are backtracking. So you have the group, and I'm starting to see this in the the late stage boomers and the early Gen Xers, who were telling black women to go to witchcraft. Essentially, they're going back to religion, whether it's Christianity, Catholicism, or some type of fundamentalism. They're doing that. And I'm also starting to see some women who was like Hebrew Israelites and some serious fundamentalist religions. They're going into new age and all of this, just really going full force into the matriarchy and the feminism and all of these things. And I really want black millennial and black Gen Z women to really, really just stop and just think things through. When you come across these women, and because they're always selling something to you. That is what it is. They're always selling something to you. Do you want to get caught up in what they're going through? Because this is clearly a sign of mental illness. Hey, if you are living on a planet Earth, you have some form of mental illness, because mental illness is a spectrum. But to see people go from one end of the spectrum to the next, that is a serious concern, especially if they was dealing in witchcraft and they're going back to whether it's some type of, usually when they start dealing in witchcraft and they go back to Christ, they go full force into, I'm talking about Orthodox, Apostolic, Pentecostal, Roman Catholicism, and the real old school stuff, right? And I respect everybody' religion. Obviously, they need to be in those spaces because they can't control themselves, and they've led other people to some horrible things. And the sad part about it is a lot of those women that they led to witchcraft or they led to fundamentalism, whether it was Hebrew Israelite or some type of black conscious community, the majority of those women are actually stuck in those spaces with no way out. So this is really what's going to be the outcome, right? When you follow behind all of these women. And I don't want y'all to go through that. Thankfully, I didn't go through that. Yes, I was in the conscious community, and I'm using it in past tense because I always say this. I never left the conscious community. They left me when I started to hold them accountable for their actions and the way that they were treating me, the horrible treatment that they were, trying to bestow upon me. And I started to stand up for myself and say, hey, no, I'm not going to take this. Of course, they went to the wayside because they knew that they couldn't use me with that emotional abuse anymore, or they couldn't find any more entertainment off the trauma that I was going through or that I went through. And so I was no longer a source that was feeding them, right? But even when I was going through that phase in my life, I never introduced any young lady to what I was dealing with at all. Even now, I don't introduce people to Neville Goddard or anything like that. And Neville Goddard is not New Age, no matter what, is not. That is, I'm not going to get into that, but his teachers are not New Age, and they do not come from a white man. They come from the original people. So that I want to make clear, right? But I'm seeing this a lot, and I don't want anybody else to get caught up in this, because once those women leave those spaces, whether it's witchcraft, whether it's some type of fundamentalism, and you stuck, they gone about their business. And if you've purchased any type of life coaching package or anything like that, your money is gone, right? So a lot of this that's going on is a money grab, and I want to make it clear, okay? So this is my issue with the constant battle between the patriarchy and the matriarchy, and I'm very highly educated, so I really don't care what anybody has to say about the matriarchy. I'm not living under matriarchy with none of these heifers. I'm not doing it, right? Okay, so no matter what, you still have to have a male and a female to reproduce. So you still have to have both of the sexes reproducing. And I have my great auntie, may peace be upon her, she always used to say, every trash can got a lid. And that isn't a metaphor for basically saying every trash ass person got somebody that matched them, right? So just be, I need to stop saying we, okay? I urge people to really start to see things for what they are when it comes to people with the XX chromosome, adult human females, and even minor human females. This is not this automatic cloak of innocence that comes with carrying the XX chromosome. So usually it was a trash ass man, it's a trash ass woman, scamming ass man, a scamming ass woman, and so you have this going on back and forth between both sexes. And a lot of people, because the men have done what the men have done, it is what it is, people naturally will start to gravitate toward the women and listening to them. And there's a reason why a lot of the ancient texts say don't follow but behind no woman, okay? So you listening to these women and they leading you astray, and they're just not good people. They're just not, they're not, and especially if they have children. That's a cloak that a lot of women use to cover up a lot of the, I don't even like to say good and bad, a lot of the nefarious, devious, conniving ways that they have, because they have produced children, okay? And they're hiding under the cloak of motherhood to attempt to lead you somewhere. And I promise you, if somebody's saying that if they was full force into something and then they went totally to the other end of the spectrum, they're going to keep bouncing back and forth. So you're never going to find any stability with following up behind these females, right? And really, the majority of them in that particular moment of time, especially if they start going to witchcraft in a new age and all that, and they have a husband or old man, they wearing the pants. They controlling him. They doing all of these things. And I don't believe in that. I don't believe in you should try to control anybody. You should try to lord over anybody. But especially not a man. It's supposed to be a natural balance. So just stop and think when you start to hear these women preaching to you about whatever school of thought that they're on now. And just be mindful and don't get caught up. Because these people will, y'all, it's so many people now who have just gone, I'm talking about, was full out witching and hoodoo and all this. Now they knee deep in the church or the cathedral or the mosque or the temple. And then you have people who are knee deep in the cathedral, the church, the mosque, or the temple. They hop into the witchcraft. They hop into the new age. They're talking about astrology. They all over here dealing with the crystals. That's one big sign. Look, when you're dealing with them doggone crystals, crystals, they do carry the energy that they carry, right? They do. Everything has energy, right? But those were actually, I'm not even going to get into that science. That's just going to have to be a different video, right? But, they start dealing with the crystals. They start dealing with this. They start dealing with that. And now they didn't switch. And they still offering these life coach packages and all of these things. Like, come on, y'all. For real. You really want to keep following up behind somebody who keep, fair weather. They changing. And they keep floating all over the place. You want somebody who's anchored, okay, in whatever it is that they're doing. So really be careful with these black women out here leading y'all astray. And this is really a big deal. It's just something that's very sinister. We already know about the boomers, but something even more sinister with these Gen Xers. And I can make a whole nother video about that just in a professional realm. With these black boomer women and Gen Xers in a professional realm, I would rather deal with a MAGA white man. I would rather go walk up into the courtroom and everybody wearing the Klan hood versus me dealing with a black female attorney who's a boomer or Gen Xer. I'm so serious. I'm so serious when I say that. That's how bad they are. And it's not just in the legal field. It's in all of these professional fields. So just be mindful that black women will lead you astray too, because they're banking on the fact that you hate men so much and they want you to get caught up in whatever it is that you're getting caught up in. And you see that outcome mostly, especially if they have sons. You really start to see their works in their sons. So when their sons grow up and supposed to be men, and you realize they really not men. Once you really start interacting with them, and then you realize who their mamas are, and you're able to start putting two and two together. So I don't want y'all to get caught up following behind these black women, because a woman will lead you astray too. Okay? Do whatever you need to do to build your own relationship with God, your higher power, your higher self, just with life in general, and stop trying to follow up behind these people. Really, all these modalities, and I am going to make a second video about this religion. I'm not anti-religion, okay? But I really want those who are watching this video to be able to understand what I'm trying to say. A black woman will lead you straight and lead you downhill just as quick as a black man will too. So don't fall for the bait. Don't take the bait. Don't fall for the BS, man. It really hurts my heart to see a lot of young ladies who really are truly seeking some type of guidance from a black woman and just being led all around the mulberry bush, right? So just be mindful. Just do your due diligence. Just go from there. If they boomers or they Gen Xers, the amount of mental illness, undiagnosed and unchecked mental illness they have is even higher on the spectrum. So you have to really be mindful of that. And narcissism, we have a lot of black boomer women and Gen Xer women. They're narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, psychopathy, a mixture of a combination of all of them. Is very prevalent, and I really need y'all to understand what I'm trying to tell y'all. So a lot of y'all are filing up behind some narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths, or a mixture of both, and most of them are hiding behind the cloak of motherhood. So don't get caught up in all of this. Queen with Soft Eye Boutique.